Hello, 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 everyone. How is everybody doing? So excited about tonight's live. This is part four. We've had an amazing live series the past week, going into the second week. For those that missed it, you can definitely check it out on my website. I am donvinnie.com, or either on my YouTube channel, which is Donvinnie Boykin. So we topped it off with realizations on last week. Had a phenomenal guest on, Miss Sharonda Marzette, just basically talking about her daughter being diagnosed with cancer at the age of 2. And then that second night, we had emotions, talked with the relentless coach, Joshua. Had him on just talking about his journey as well as what he's moving into with being a life coach. And then last night, had a great conversation with Wesley. Wes had an amazing story. I shared the video on my page, all through on social media, just about him being molested as well as being raped. So we dug in deep last night. That video is up and available. And then tonight we will be talking about just enraged, the feeling that comes behind that with loss, fear. We're going through troubled times right now with COVID, and just mental health is on the rise, just period, general. Um, for those of you that's been following my journey, I wrote a book a couple of about a year ago. It was launched in January. Reveal the Year Without My Dad. Just talked about my depression, battling the loss of my father, and definitely is a good read. You can find it anywhere books are sold online, Barnes and Nobles, Target, Walmart, as well as my website. So I am truly thrilled about that. So, as I've stated, I wanted to create this safe place, just a place where we could just talk and be vulnerable. We could be free, with the hopes and intentions to, just reaching out to someone that may be, battling mental health or suffering from depression or anxiety or any mental illness. Um, so this is a project that I did not think was possible. I put all of my fears, all of my doubts, all of my insecurities in this project. Not only the Reveal Live series, but just also within my book in general. With the hopes and aspirations to just inspire you. That you can do anything that you put your mind to. I'm a small town country boy from Humboldt, Tennessee, currently living in Atlanta. Never once would have thought that I would have been an author. Like, I'm a published author. And, I'm so thrilled about this journey. It's bringing a lot of focus into, my passion, my purpose, and, just moving forward, with the hopes of inspiring, other people as well. So for those of you tuning in, like I said, tonight we have Enraged. I also have a live tomorrow with my nephew, Christus Boykin, called Alienated. So just basically going to be having a conversation with my nephew, just around the loss of my father, his grandfather, because just realizing that we never had a conversation. I think we went to the funeral, we checked in with one another just to see if it was okay. But during that period of losing my father, his grandfather, I stopped talking to like my family, my friends, just kind of distanced myself because I wasn't right mentally. When losing a loved one, it takes you to a place that you just never been, before. And then on September 22nd, I will have Tony Enos, who's a really good friend of mine. He's an artist, singer, songwriter. He definitely has an amazing story, just centered around love. He also has a new single out. We'll talk about that as well too. Um, but yeah, this journey has definitely been a great one, and it's allowing me to move into my purpose and to move forward, um, Yeah, so that's the Reveal Live series, So have our guest on. I'm so excited about this powerful, powerful woman, this woman of God. Like I've stated on my series, she's my pastor, my spiritual mother. Like she truly, truly is an amazing person. So look forward to you guys tuning in to see her. Um, as I introduced her, like I said, Dr. Canion, she is an innovative creator. She is a phenomenal, phenomenal woman. She's a thinker, writer, author, entrepreneur, mentor, and God's mouthpiece that is preaching and bringing deliverance to the body of Christ. As God's anointed vessel, Dr. Canion has embraced the mission to preach to the gospel of Jesus Christ without compromise to the nation and to the world. Dr. Canion attended Clark Atlanta University, Georgia State University, Beulah Heights University, and she is a recent honorary doctorate with the Anointed God Ministerial Seminary and Alliance. She is also a certified interior designer from Clayton State University. With nearly 40 years of ministry, Dr. Canion is a seasoned elder and evangelist who is known for her transparency and very candid delivery with God's word. She's also a fashionista, love her creations. I always look forward to seeing what she has on, at church on Sundays. God has also expanded her ministry in the following areas: as a Bible teacher, convention and conference speaker and host, seminar speaker, guest on TBN and the World Network. Dr. Canion is a visionary and founder of Tanda Canion Ministries, Tanda Canion Foundation, Tanda Canion Empowerment Convention. Through each of these ministries, lives are changed and chains are being broken. Outside of the pulpit, Dr. Canion is a community activist and leader. In addition to all these accomplishments, Dr. Canion graciously partners with her husband, ministry with the Honorable Bishop Michael Canion. So I want you all to help me welcome Dr. Tanda Canion.
Hey.
How are you?
Oh, blessed and well. How about you?
I'm doing well. I am doing well. You look phenomenal as always.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I'm so honored to be here.
And I'm honored to have you as a guest.
Oh,
I'll be looking forward to tonight, just because, just for a lot of reasons, the crazy thing about it, just going back, like, I don't, think that we talked about the passing of my father, but I remember you actually had gave me a phone call literally a week after my father had passed, just checking on me, making sure, I was okay, and I didn't, tell anything. I was just so thrilled to hear your voice, and then just to hear your story throughout the past year, with battling COVID and then just your journey in general, it really meant a lot, to me. And then for you to agree to come on, like, I really appreciate it.
no, absolutely. You just a blessing, and you're doing wonderful things, and we are proud of what you are doing. And I'm thrilled about your new book. And I still got to get my signed copy. And thrilled about what you are endeavoring to do for the kingdom. So
Oh,
thank you for asking me to come.
no problem, no problem. So let's just go right in. Like, I entitled this Enrage. It's an acronym from my book, which is entitled Revealed. So just doing my personal experience, losing my father, I felt really enraged, just with anger of losing him, and then not really fully understanding death, because throughout my family, everyone lived healthy lives, and I haven't had anything tragic, that happened, prior to that, but losing my father. So
Mhm.
why is it that you think that, when we go through things like that, we always want to question God and be like, why God?
Mhm. Well, first of all, let me again. I'm so sorry for your loss, and I can imagine, especially if you had not had many losses in your family, and certainly to be the first to be your father, that had to have been traumatic and very devastating. Um, pardon me. Let me just say, death is never easy for any of us. It is never something that we get used to. It is never anything that we welcome or want. But we get enraged a lot of times because we have questions that we don't have answers to. And sometimes God does not answer.
Right.
Sometimes he does not give us a why. Life happens to every one of us, and it will happen to all of us with or without our permission. The problem a lot of times is sometimes we feel like, I won't say a monopoly on trouble, but when you have not had a lot of it, sometimes we feel that we are entitled to certain things that we are not. And instead of us trusting the wisdom of God and trusting what God allows, we feel that we have a better plan. A lot of times when we lose people, loss again is always hard and very difficult. Sometimes we feel like we want to keep them to ourselves. But people here, everybody who came with a purpose.
Mm,
Everybody who was born also had came with a death date.
mm,
And we don't get to decide because God gives life and God also takes life. So and so that enragement comes a lot of times because of lack of understanding purpose, lack of understanding the wisdom of God, and sometimes asking questions that we don't get answers. And most of those questions is why.
yeah.
God don't always tell us his plan.
Yeah. And I definitely agree with that, just lack of questions. And then, do you think it's a culturally thing, things that we might embed culturally? Because, I was blessed with a mother and a father. They were married up until my father passed away. So my life is, a lot different from, the newer generation. You find out a lot of, homes where single parents raising children now,
Mhm.
and then that conversation is not being had, and I just think about like growing up, I was blessed to have been raised in church. My mother, that was the number one rule. Like every Sunday, as a family, we would go to church, so you brought in faith, and I think that was one of the things that got me through because I acknowledged and I knew that I was in an enraged state. I wasn't the ones that questioned God and asked God because I understood that, we have, a birth date and we have a death date. So I understood that, but the anger that came from me was, I'm not going to see my father again, and it's just thinking about, whenever I have a child, they won't ever know their grandfather, so the question I'm like, do you think it's a cultural thing or is it just something that we go through as just being human?
Well, grief is a part of being human, but let's just unpack it just a little bit more. I think that any date, even if you had your kids had met your father, no date you would have been ready for your daddy to leave.
Right.
No date would have been a good day for you, for daddy to go home to be with the Lord. Not one day. We never want a person to leave out of our life when we love them. But again, we don't get to choose that. And I do believe it's cultural to a great degree because this generation do not fully understand faith. Now, that doesn't mean that this generation don't love the Lord or anything, but faith comes from suffering. What I
Mm,
mean by that is you will never know God as a provider if you never needed a provision, right?
right.
You
Right.
would never know God as a healer if you never know him to be sick. You heard grandma talk about it. You may have heard auntie talk about it. Being in church and around church don't mean church is in you.
Mm,
So our foundation have to be sure and steady, or it becomes shaken when a crisis hit. That's why I really hate it, baby. I really, a son. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to demean you by calling you baby, but you're my son. Let me tell you, I really hate how this generation has been um, uh, milk fed, even
mm,
when they grow up. And what I mean by that is everything have to be easy, everything have to be convenient. Nothing can disturb your life, or you fall out with God, you quit the church, get mad. You can't process. This generation don't seem to know how to process because they don't sit under the elders long enough and be mentored on how to go through a crisis. Real faith is not what you see. Real faith is not what you understand. Real faith and trust in God is when you don't like it, when you are sick, when you are down, when you are discouraged. God, I still believe and trust you. So I
Right.
believe it is cultural because everybody have to be convenienced. Everybody have to get in their feelings, so to speak. But real faith is when stuff is tore up.
Yeah,
I
you're
still
right.
trust
Right.
God.
Yeah,
You see what
because
I
that's
mean?
how it was through, throughout the process of my book, and you being a writer, you understand you have to go to a certain place, and I was like down in that place, and that faith got me out of it,
Yeah,
so when it goes back to, the generations and you're talking about the youth, like, I don't think they experience that, because they don't really have the trauma, and I hate that we have to have a trauma in order for us to wake up, and that's truly what it was for me. Like, I had to have that experience so God could tap me and be like, hey, I'm still here. I've never left. I've always been here,
right.
and it was kind of like a thump, like something just fell on my head, and then I awoke, so I'm definitely glad that you brought that up.
Mhm.
And then just going to, just the times now, even, with COVID, I had a conversation actually on the live yesterday. You know, um, I've always heard about mental illness, never really paid any attention to it until, when I lost my father, I actually went and sought help and got diagnosed with depression,
Yeah.
and I think now with COVID, we're hearing more about it, but what are your thoughts when it comes to us as a culture, when it comes to being aware or seeking help for mental illness?
Okay. Can I just back up for one moment and let me plug one thing, if you don't mind, about the enragement and the anger before we move on? I started saying too that grief have stages and phases,
Yes,
and
it does.
what you felt was absolutely normal. The denial, the anger, and all that, to finally the acceptance phase of it. People need to have those feelings, and we have to sit down in those moments. All of those things are human and they are not to be abandoned. Each process is necessary, but when we stay in one phase or another, that's when it becomes abnormal and it begins to contaminate our spirit. There's also a difference between anger and rage. Anger is normal. As a person who's had something snatched away from him, you can get angry about that. But the enragement comes when it's excessive anger that sometimes turn aggressive or even violent sometimes, or even to the degree where you can't hear or see.
Right,
So that's this phase that God does not want us in. A lot of people go to that phase because they can't move on from that anger, and because again, I want people give people permission to have those feelings, and we can question God, whereas we've been told that we cannot. That's
right.
not even Bible. If you got a father, you can ask him anything you want. It's just that you don't question his wisdom, his knowledge, and his godness. So
No,
I thought maybe I would leave that there in that phase as well.
no, that's
As
good.
it,
Just so people could get clarification and know,
yeah,
that was awesome. Hmm.
and so as it relate to the generational COVID, now let's revamp that question to me again because I stayed in that other phase so I can remember to plug that. What
Got
would
you. So it is evolving to mental illness, and then with COVID now, a lot of people have been affected with COVID. Either have had COVID, lost loved ones, even with yourself. And then you even wrote a book. Room three is it 325?
room 325, room
Yes.
325.
So,
Mil-
and you can even talk about your journey because it was the same thing. With you, like you were in a place, where it wasn't accessible as far as like the hospitals were booked at capacity. You lost 7 people within a week due to this virus.
Yeah,
So just tell us a little bit about your journey, with COVID.
it was one of the most horrific battles, depressing, fearful. And I'm saying all these things to describe a little bit of how I felt, even as a preacher, even as your pastor, even as a leader in the community, a writer, a spiritual mother, a mentor. Everything that I've preached to you all, I had to go back and revisit it on my sick bed.
Oh
And I
wow.
do say sick bed because I literally almost did not pull through with COVID. I did cold and they had to bring me back.
Hmm.
And but part of the journey with COVID, it left me in a place of depression.
Mm.
I had to literally COVID don't just attack your body; it attacks your mind.
Yeah.
The enemy comes after your mind because he wants you to think that this is over, it's never going to get any better, and all that. COVID has done so many things in so many ways. It has isolated people.
Mhm.
Folks are depressed like never before because when you isolate, you really can annihilate, cut
Mhm.
you off, destroy you. Nobody's an island unto themselves. Folks are separated. People are not back in church. They're not connecting with family. And people, I was sharing earlier with some folks, they're working from home. Now home doesn't feel like a sanctuary. It feels like a prison because you're
Mm.
working from home and you stay in home. You got to finish, leave there, and then go into your house and finish your work with your family. So you're home 24/7. You don't even get out until later in the week. You're in your house for days. They're not. We're not open up to a certain degree. You got these folks mad and fighting each other in these streets. So you got all of this anxiety, and you got this depression in a way I've never seen it before, baby. And if you look around, you see how dark things feel, how
Yeah.
people don't seem to have no joy, where it seems like that there's no peace nowhere.
And it
So
just even a simple thing, even a smile. Like I was thinking about it the other day. Like I went in a grocery store, and I was like, it would just be nice to see a smile. Like even though with the mask, like we're wearing masks, but just a
right,
simple smile would brighten your day. Would brighten my day.
right,
And I thought about it. I was like, it feels kind of dark. You walk around and seeing everybody with the mask on. For their protection, of course. But yeah,
yeah.
I definitely agree with that.
Yes. So the mental illness part is coming in primarily from depression. People are suffering from anxiety, all of these things because of the fear of the unknown, the panic that the media outlets have created. And not all of them, but a lot of them. The back and forth with the left and the right and all these things. So people they are in the bowels of depression. It feels like there's no hope. Here we are, thought we was coming out of it. Here we are back in it again with two other variants of the same disease. And so when I first got sick, there was no vaccine nowhere to be found. I had nothing but my faith. There was no one. And the isolation of being in a hospital. Can you imagine? Most time before COVID, when you're in the hospital, your family can come and spend the night with you. Somebody gonna come see you. But at that time, even now, we're back at that. You can't even go in the hospital. So I'm laying in a dark room where they taking the vents out. Imagine this a moment. They took the vents out of the rooms. They took because they didn't want no contamination. They didn't know how to deal with this disease. They took the windows out of my room
Wow.
because they didn't want no kind of contamination. I had no windows. I just had this big machine pumping whatever I breathed out of the hospital. There was only a crack at the end of that tunnel that they had this big machine sitting in. That was the only light I had. Can you
Wow.
imagine that? And no contact, no human contact. They coming in with moon suits every 6 to 8 hours. And I'm laying there, can't even get a glass of water with tears locking under my cheeks. It took nothing but faith to climb through that. Nothing but faith. That's all I had. That's all I had.
So, so I know you said you had to revisit some things. What was one thing that you revisited, that maybe someone can revisit, on here that's watching, that may be going through COVID or may have COVID right now or lost a loved one to COVID?
You don't have nothing but God.
Mhm.
I wish there was something, another portion that I could cook up. I wish it was a three-step formula that, but there is none. I had nothing but my faith. I had to go back and revisit. I had to go back to simple things like you probably heard in Sunday school, the Lord is my shepherd.
Wow.
I shall not want. He make me lie down and grief. I had to go back and find the old scripture. Psalms 46, the Lord is my refuge and my strength, a very present help in the time of trouble. Present me, whatever I'm in right now, Your God and my God hears me. He was with me all along. That was all I had. So I had to go back to those simple things, even a song. And then someone sent me a text that my eyesight went, my eyes went bad too, and I couldn't see. And I had double pneumonia as well, fever, headache, vomiting, diarrhea, weakness. Couldn't my legs. I couldn't walk with my legs. None of that. Fainting. I was on faint alert. And someone sent me a link, and on that link, I thought I'd turn these things off. On that link, dear, it took me to scripture, and I was just hearing the scripture, reading in my ear, and Psalms 107 and 20. If somebody's watching me now, if you're in the hospital, even if it's not with COVID, because there are other diseases, the scripture said, and the Lord healed me from all of my diseases, even to the door of death. I had to keep repeating those things, those positive affirmations from the scripture. I had to keep saying, I will live and not die. I had to say that. I had to say it out loud. Sometimes you can't find a prayer partner. Sometimes you can't find a buddy. Some things you in is just you and God, and you have to go pull on that from within. So that's what I had to do to get through that crisis.
Wow. And then that's a good thing you mentioned, just speaking positivity and just affirmations. I did a 30-day challenge last month, and that was one of my days, was just, the power of words, because
Yeah,
we're not in tune with what we're saying. They
right.
words are out there for a reason. If you speak positivity, I'm a firm believer, whatever you put out is what you're going to get back in. If
That's
you
right.
speak those negative thoughts, then negativity is going to come back to you. And if you reach out to God and you talk to God in a positive manner, then He'll truly answer and help you with whatever it is that you need help with.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Definitely. So
Yes.
I know with COVID, it's definitely affected the church. So how has it, but Assembly of Truth was already on virtually, a lot of churches, I just couldn't imagine, who could not, have it live stream or, be able to post it on YouTube or whatever. So,
Mhm.
the good thing is, we were already ahead and were streaming live, but how did that impact, the church as a whole?
Well, both good and bad. It pushed us to another level. We had to learn streaming, StreamYard. We had to learn new ways to get the message out because people were in their homes. And again, like you, I feel bad for people in rural areas that wasn't able to make a connection. When we first got on, we were buffering. It hit everybody so rapidly, and everybody was trying to get online. Nobody could connect. It affected us as pastors because number one, being that sick, you know, it was almost felt like our congregation was going to lose both pastors at the same time. The bishop was sick as well, but of course he didn't get to the degree that I did. But the point is, the threat was always there. So you got your congregation in fear. The believers were afraid. Um, a lot of folk weren't in church before COVID, so they really couldn't blame COVID too much now. But it did put people in a category where, well, I can just stay home and watch Pastor online in my pajamas with a cup of latte. So a lot of people didn't come back to church. They online. But then it broadened our net to the fact that a lot of people who wanted to see us and come to our congregation, they could not, but now they can, even if they come back and watch it again later. So it was a blessing and a curse, but the primarily is really more to me more bad than good because we were not designed not to connect. You need that human interaction. We need the fellowship of the saints.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say because just the fellowship, the music, and the energy and the presence,
Right.
because there definitely truly is. And before this leaves my mind, like I will never forget. So I had started attending Assembly of Truth. I think it was 2007 when I first moved to Atlanta. I had one of my college professors that was going to Boulder College teaching there invited me to come out. It was actually my second church that I had went to. I went to like Antioch, I think it was like right down there where the Mercedes-Benz Stadium is, and then y'all are like right up the street. And so I came, and I just remember the energy, and then I've never felt a presence, before, that just, it was just welcoming, it was inviting. And then, like I said earlier, like I'm from a small town, and it gave me my home church back in Tennessee, just well as the love. And then I just remember you and Bishop, y'all were all lines up at the back. And then y'all spoke to everybody as they came out, and, you thanked me for coming, and then they gave me the visitor's card to fill out, and I filled it out. And then literally like 2 days later, I got a phone call from one of the deacons. And I'm like, I don't get this normally. You know what I'm saying? You all truly make a connection with each and every one. And I think that's missed right now. Like going back to when you were saying, like, we need that fellowship, because we truly fellowshipped. We ate good. Y'all would have good cooking.
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes.
Just that love from everyone, and we need that. Like you said earlier, like it's different times, with us being isolated, it is creating a different type of energy within us. But I do hope and pray, that, everyone gets the vaccine, and,
Yes.
we can get to some sense of normality, which I don't think it'll be all, normal again. We'll still have to proceed with caution.
That's right. That's right. You're absolutely right. We're in a different time, and this variant, we got to care enough about each other to get the
Yeah,
vaccine, to wear our mask, so we can create a more normal atmosphere. But we're not going to be where we were. That
right.
that there, there has been a reset and a
Yeah,
whole new transition. Things are not going to be the way that they were. So we may as
right.
well get that out of our heads and out of our spirits. God is doing a new thing. I believe God's going to restore us, and it's going to be better. But we're going to have to do better as a
Right.
people, as races. We're going to do
Right.
for the human race. We're going to have to do better. And
Right.
so it has created that gap, because we need each other. You need the spirit that, you can shout at home, but
Right.
being with the saints, that dance is different.
Yeah, you're right.
That
Yeah,
praise is different. But that choir, you can put your music on in your house and you can go in, but it ain't gonna be the same as when you get that when that praise team crank that thing up.
right.
Bishop and pastor, you can hear us preach, and you can hear us preach on the Sunday morning, and you can be in your house, but it ain't gonna be the same as you being in that atmosphere. You're gonna feel the power of the Holy Ghost in a whole nother way.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
But what COVID has forced us to do is to look inward and get a true introspection of where we really are with God. Because
And
what's
that's what I was gonna say next.
okay, go
That's what I
ahead.
was gonna say next too, because I remember, just in 2019, the ending. We see in 2020, everybody's like, "Oh, this is the year of vision." It's the year of purpose. Which in essence it is a year of vision. Because it brought out a lot for people to actually seek God, seek faith, go inward. To be able to open up a light, or open up, their passageway to, seek God and ask for guidance. Because I
Right.
know during 2020, I've always prayed, but my conversations got a little bit different,
Yeah.
because I was one of the ones that got impacted, with the job. Like I got laid off of my job that I was with, for years,
Yes.
so I had to pray and go inward, because all I had at that point was to faith and rely on God. So
Yeah.
I think that it was an eye-open experience, and it truly showed people who they were, and who they could be.
Yes. 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 It definitely it was a big reveal.
Hmm.
Just like your book, a big reveal.
Yes.
It showed all the people who said they knew God and all this stuff was shaken to the core, because if your foundation is not good, when stuff hit, it's gonna shake you. That's
Right.
why you got to be what you got get from God has to be real, and it has to be personal before. See, I can't do it, Bishop, and I can't do it just on Sunday. You got to have this Monday through Sunday. You
Right.
from Sunday to Sunday, you got to have it personal, and then we build on what your core and your foundation is. And so a lot of people fell apart. They fell out of church. They fell this, and you don't hear and see them because they didn't have a solid foundation. And baby, I need to say this: it's gonna be more coming. This is not over. Anybody say that this is all? No, because we are in the last days.
Right.
We cannot lose sight of what God told us. We're in the last day. Now he's going to bless us. You know, in a pandemic, he took care of us.
Yes.
Even folks who got the unemployment, a lot of folks were making more at home than they was on the job. That was God saying, I'm taking care of you. But there's going to be more where our faith is going to be stretched again. So if you didn't get it then, you need to get it now. Because it's only you only have your faith. That's all you had before COVID.
Mm-hmm.
See, but now you're having to be forced to trust God because you have nothing else.
Absolutely.
Nothing else. Now they're cutting the unemployment checks off on the people. What are the folks gonna do now? Look to God.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be in fear. And I know folks say, well, Pastor, how can you say that if your bills are paid? You don't know that.
Right.
I'm trusting God like just like everybody else is. We're trusting God over here. But I'm saying that He's all we have.
Right.
And He's all we need. He's gonna provide. If you sick, He's still a healer now. Don't because He did it for me. And somebody needs to hear this. He healed me.
Mm-hmm.
There was no medicine. There was no vaccine. They didn't even know what to do with me in the hospital. I heard them questioning each other. They were gonna give me 2 days before they put me on the ventilator.
Because
After I had
this was April, right? April, right after the 20. Yeah, so it was the beginning of the year. Mm-hmm.
beginning of the year, right when it hit, and after I coded and they brought me back, I was out like a dish rag. And I heard the doctors. I heard them say, within 48 hours, if I didn't come around, they're gonna put me on the ventilator.
Wow.
God heal me. And God is going to heal somebody listening to me.
Yes.
God has provided for us. And God is going to provide for whoever is listening to me. Afraid you might be, but your God and my God know what we have need of. And
Yes.
He's going to take care of His children. He's going to do that.
Yes. I definitely agree. I definitely agree. So I know you have your book. So can you tell the people how they can purchase your book and where they can find your book?
Yes, my book is Room 325. I have a copy of it here, Room 325. It is on Amazon. They can get it off my website at tandacanion.org, tandacanion.org, or go to Amazon and get it. And if you would, just do a review for me, but it is readily available. My office, or they can call us at 404-228-6969. And my staff will be more than happy to get that book out to them. But again, it is also on Amazon. All of my
All right.
books are on Amazon.
Say that number again. I'm going to put
Four,
it at the bottom.
okay,
Say the number.
404-228-6969.
Okay, I'm going to add that at the bottom so they can call.
404-228-6969. Yes.
Yes.
On tandacanion.org. Yes, they can call right now. And my staff, as soon as they get back in or to get the messages, they'll be glad to make sure to get the book out to them right away. And I could sign a copy, an autographed copy. It would really bless you. It talks truthfully and authentically about the illness. It talked about the journey in the hospital. It talked about my recovery, the long hauler syndrome that many of us who was that sick has. It also have a battery of scripture that I used during that time that got me back to some sense of normalcy in my body and in my mind. Wow. So I talk about all of that. The ride to the hospital, what the man told me. He told me he hoped I make it out, but he told me he doubted that I would. He literally told me that in the ambulance. So I had to fight through what he told me. And then they dropped me off in a place where you just told me you don't think I'm going to make it out. And God sent different people in there, even when I was abandoned in the hospital, couldn't even get a drink of water on my own. God would send somebody every now and then that would take care of me. Even when I'm crying like a baby, literally crying like a baby. God sent a young man when I was in the ER. He wrapped me up. He said I reminded him of his auntie and his grandmother. He took care of me just like one of my own children would. And he had never met me, and I never seen him since. God also sent a Caucasian Man, and I was so embarrassed because I couldn't go to the bathroom. I was too sick and weak, and I was a fall threat. I was dizzy. My eyesight was going, and I could barely see. And he sent a Caucasian man in who told me that he was coming in just to take care of me. The man had to carry me to the bathroom. That was so embarrassing and humiliating as a woman. But he
Mm.
assured me he was there to take care of me. And he knew I was so embarrassed because I was starting to cry because I had to have a man to take me to the bathroom. And he turned his back. He said, I know you're ashamed. He said,
Mm.
but don't be. He said, I'm here to take care of you. So God was sending little different people that whole journey to let me know that he was with me. And that's what God do. If we look for it, he's going to send somebody. It might not be through no preacher. It might be through, you might go to the grocery store and somebody say, there's something special about you, or have a wonderful day. It might be the way they say it that
Right.
give you the strength to make it one more day. So God is always sending acts of kindness if we look for it. He always showing us just how much he loves us.
Right, right. And he does. And then that was one of the reasons why I wanted to create this series, just to show people that there are other people out there that are going through things, that you're not the only one,
That's
and that everybody has a different story, but still has the same feelings, the same emotions. And it's just being human, you
right.
know. Then just with your journey, I know you do a lot, you know. How do you stay just grounded, you know? Other than just praying and staying steadfast in the Lord, like how do you just stay so fabulous in the woman that you are?
Well, I'm a lot like you in that we're creatives.
Hmm.
And so when I start to feel that down syndrome, if I could say it like that without sounding like I'm talking about the special need thing, that down, that spiraling, because keep in mind my career was based on travel, preaching, speaking, motivational teaching. All of that came to a squeaking halt.
Hmm.
Nobody's having those things now. So basically I'm out of a job
Right.
except for pastoring at my local church. So all the travel and all that stuff. So I had to come up with stuff. So I've been over here creating, I've been over here designing, reinventing myself, taking sessions online, um, writing. I've been doing a whole lot more writing. I'm moving into more mentorship. So I've been doing that. A lot of Zooms. I've been doing a lot of Zooms where I'm connecting people and doing different things like that. I've done a few business venture. I went back to my gardening. Now it's Christmas season coming up. I've already prepped to start my decor for the holiday. So keeping my mind fresh, not refusing to succumb to COVID and refusing to succumb to depression and anxiety. When I feel like I need that human contact, I pick up and call somebody. Or if
Mm.
it's somebody that's safe to go be around, I'll do that. Of course, I thrive on getting to my local church on Sunday so I can be with the saints as best we can. Socially distant we are, and we, and all the precautions of CDC, we do that at our church. But I thrive to get to church on Tuesday night Bible studies. Those things that's keeping me going. I've been designing some fashion.
Mm.
On Mondays, I do arts and crafts, and I don't let anything stop me from that. I draw. I used to draw, but I got back to that. So I've been sketching some bad outfits. So I've been creating those type of things. I've had a few events that I have had with just small
Just
groups.
you just had one last night, right?
Last night with the purity program, our purity program with the kids, it was absolutely marvelous. They loved it. And it wasn't as many as we have had in the past, but it was just as powerful, and we put just as much effort into it because you can't let COVID stop you.
You're right.
You
You're
cannot
absolutely right.
succumb to the devil. You can't bow down to an enemy. You have to fight back by keep doing, even with tears in your eyes, even with people walking away, even when nobody else, when people are saying no, they don't get out, or they don't want to be a part of this right now, and they don't know what they're going to do. When people are everywhere else they want to go, don't let it stop you.
Right.
reinvent yourself, recreate something, pull out of you, go be intuitive and innovative. God will give you creative ideas
Yeah,
right along
absolutely.
there, because you're quiet enough and silent enough where you can hear God. You see what I'm saying? Without partners and prayer partners. Now it's just you and God, and He is enough, and you are enough. So that's what I've had to do. So that preaching I be doing, I be preaching to myself. I be writing sermons, and I get in here and get to shout over my own sermon. So by the time I get to the pulpit, I'm already happy.
Yeah.
You know, I'm already happy. I'm on 200 by the time I get there. See, because I'm constantly writing and doing things like that. Journaling, been journaling, that helps with depression.
Yeah, that's what helped. That's how my book got birthed. Like I didn't go into it, writing a book. It was my thoughts, and then I got halfway in, and I was like, you know what, I could write a book. So that journaling definitely, I would tell people, even if it doesn't make sense, just write it down. It'll all come out later. Whatever's going through your mind, your thoughts, just get it out because you'll definitely feel a lot better.
Yes, my first book, Blood on the Floor. Did you? I don't know if you ever got that. That was from healing from my abusive father and my childhood of poverty, and I
Mm,
just had to go back and revisit that. And it took me this long to even want to feel that.
wow.
So I had to go all the way back to my childhood and feel all that pain and the violence in my home and all those things in order to heal.
Wow.
So writing is very therapeutic.
It is. It's very therapeutic.
Mhm.
So they can get all of your catalog from your books from your website as well too.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
Awesome. Awesome. So let everyone know where they can find you other than your website. Would love for the people to follow, like, and share. Like I said, I've been knowing this woman for years. She's definitely a phenomenal, as you can see, beautiful woman of God.
Thank you. Well, I'm pretty much a little bit of here, there, and everywhere. I'm on uh, um YouTube, Dr. Tanda Canyon One. I'm on Facebook. I have a couple of pages, but my Dr. Tanda Canyon, they can like that page and pretty much put the alerts on and tap into me there. I am on Instagram. We are getting better about Instagram. I do have a team that's working with me, but we're not as good on that as I should be. We were better, but it's taken a lot to do some of the things that we do with all of us being so distant. I'm also on Twitter. So I'm a little bit everywhere. I'm trying to get on TikTok. I just got to figure out how to get on the TikTok. Do I have to dance to get on TikTok?
No, yeah, you can get up there and preaching and doing sermons. They do all of that.
Oh,
Just having a conversation. So, yeah, I'm gonna help you with your TikTok. I'm gonna help you with all of it. I got you.
okay, okay, okay.
Yeah,
All
but
right.
it's definitely been phenomenal night. Like I said earlier, like this is something that I didn't think was possible. I put all of my fears, my insecurities, and doubts into this, because I actually had a conversation with God literally 2 months ago about this. I had the idea to just do this live series because a lot of people don't know me. Like, I'm not a live person. Like, I love photography and art. So I like to express myself, through my pictures and through my art on my Instagram page, as well as like my Facebook and my Twitter and things like that. So just moving with COVID, like virtually, like you said earlier, like it's the times now, you
Yeah,
know, in order to be able to get out there and to reach people, I had to invest in this and, do this, if I want not only my story to be heard, but stories like yourself and then the other people that I've had. Um, just like tomorrow, like I have my nephew, he's, I think my nephew's what, 23, 24 now. Like we've never really had a conversation, about the loss of my father, his grandfather. We did the funeral, but just, he's the third generation. Like what does that conversation look like? And there are probably other people who have the same conversation. So I kind of want to put that out there in the open so people to have that aha moment. Like, you know what? I never talked to my sister or, my sibling or, my wife or whatever about the passing of someone.
Mm.
So I prayed on it, and then God just gave me the push and was like, just go,
Yeah.
with no expectations, but just sharing, stories, you
Okay.
know. Um, and
That,
then reaching out to everyone. Literally, I reached out to everyone, and then it was just yes, the first conversation, like even with yourself, So it was just meant to happen this way.
mhm.
And I'm very big on the universe and how God speaks to me, and when He speaks and says do it, you have to do it.
You
You
have
know
to.
that.
Mm,
So
mhm.
I appreciate it. I love you. I know you're busy. I didn't want to keep you too long, but I'm just definitely glad that not only you could share your story, but I could share you with everyone else. You know,
Oh, your sweetheart. You've been a blessing to the ministry. You've partnered with us in many programs to make sure that the kids and our Feeding the Hungry program and all we've done, you've been very instrumental in that. So I was honored to come on and be a part of this birthing process, and certainly proud of your book and your healing journey. And I believe the best is yet to come.
thank you, thank you. And so for you, I see, and the crazy thing about it, just going back, I got the feel of just large and mega, like from assembly,
Wow.
just the vision, like how you've always presented, Assembly of Truth Ministries, and then even your brands was, like the Joe Osteens and the TD Jakes, like, that's where I see, you and Bishop's platform.
Oh, I
I
received that.
remember Bishop prophesizing over my life, and you know, I never. He was the first person I actually had prophesize over me. I don't think I never ever
Wow.
told, but the things he said have come to fruition.
Wow.
So that's why I've always been there. You know, even when I can't come, we reach out and I'll text you or call you. You know,
Mhm.
y'all are always my heart in my home, in my church.
Yes, yes. Well, we absolutely love you, and we're glad that God sent you there and we crossed paths with each other. And I'm looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to watching you. I'm bigger and better. And this is so needed. Do not stop. Stories need to be told, and people need an outlet to tell and to share, and for truth telling. This
Yes.
is this is wonderful. And
Thank you.
and don't always have to come from the pulpit.
Right.
This is why this thing, the social media can be wonderful if people use the tool correctly,
Hmm.
and give folks an opportunity to birth out other areas of ministry, I call it.
And that's my purpose, and that's my goal. So I'm glad you said that, because I, even growing up, I told my father I wanted to be a teacher, but my father was in education. He was an assistant principal and a science teacher, and he
Wow.
was like, boy, you don't want to go into education because the money's not good enough. So I had that vision, as a child, but thinking about it now, it's like it's a different route. It doesn't have to be a classroom.
Right, right,
So
right.
that's where, I'm manifesting and moving toward right now as well. So
Well, your father was very, very. He left a wonderful mark in your life, and I bet you're more like him than you even know. It's kind of like the Lion King when Simba and Mufasa.
yeah, and that's crazy. That's how it is. Like that's one of my favorite movies as a child. And
Yeah.
then it came out. I think it came out the year he passed away. I think it came out in
Wow.
2018. So I was able. Yeah, because it came out the day after my birth. Wow, it came out the day after my birthday, July 18th, and he passed in June.
Well, remember Mufasa told him he was always there, and he told him that he wanted him to come back.
Hmm.
And he said you want him to come there, but he said, "But I'm living within you."
Right.
So that whatever he put there, and he's with those clouds of witnesses that's watching and cheering you on, and he couldn't stay any longer.
Mm.
He had to leave then, but he left so much a legacy and a lineage that as got you doing what you're doing now. It
Yeah.
had to come from your father and your parents. I don't
Yeah.
know your mom, but I bet you're a lot like her as well.
Yes, I am. Mhm.
Mhm. So you're doing great. Stay the course.
I appreciate it. I really, really do. Thank you once again. Tell Bishop I said hello.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
All right, and I know you got probably got a busy week ahead. So like I said, I appreciate it and I love you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Bless you. Love you too.
All right, you take care.
Okay, you too.
Awesome, awesome. That was amazing. And I had an aha moment at the end when she was talking about the Lion King because I honestly, I'm gonna have to look that up because I think it did come out in 2018. Because my father passed away in June. So I am just thinking about that. But we had a phenomenal, phenomenal night. Make sure you please go to tandacanion.org, follow her ministry. She's doing such amazing things within the community, as well as helping children. And then again, the phone number, if you would like to call, just reach out, to the kingdom over there. Like I said, they're a phenomenal team, phenomenal staff. If there's anything that you need mentally, check her book out. Make sure you order room 325. If you're experiencing going through COVID right now, or if you have a loss of loved one and you need that extra wisdom, so you can get it straight from her, her experience. Um, but yeah, this has been an amazing time, with learning things and even revisiting things with myself. I think this is helping me even more. Just like I said, I didn't think all of this was possible, but just with the faith and, just guiding the course and just staying and saying, yes, I accept this assignment. I'm very, very appreciative and just glad that all of the guests from Sharonda to Joshua to Wes, tonight, Dr. Tanda Canion, tomorrow, my nephew, as well as Tony Enos, really agreed and just believed in me, and believed in this project and this series. So again, this is Reveal Live series. Tonight was part 4. And we will have part 5 tomorrow with my nephew, Christus Boykin. We'll be going in deep, just talking about being alienated. Like I said earlier in the live, I never really had a conversation with my nephew. We did the funeral, and we checked in from time to time with each other just to say, hey, how you doing? Make sure we were good with each other. But we never really actually just had the conversation, surrounding his loss. And then lastly, I will have Tony Enos, who is an amazing songwriter, artist. He will close it out with love, yeah, just like Dr. Tanda Canion said, it's okay. When you lose someone, you'll go through those grief stages. And ideally, these were my grief stages. I went through the realization point, the emotional point, the vulnerability point, the enraged, alienated, and then love. So I'm definitely, definitely, definitely excited about what's next to come. And I appreciate you all for tuning in. You can go to my website, check it out. You can review tonight's live again if you would like to, as well as upcoming events and everything that I have. You can also find me on my social media. My Instagram is I am Donvinnie. My Facebook is Donvinnie Boykin. Also, my YouTube channel is Donvinnie Boykin as well. Okay. Thank you so much. Also, you can also find my book, Reveal the Year Without My Dad. It is available anywhere books are sold. Online, Barnes & Nobles, Target, Walmart, Books A Million, even my website. So you guys can check it out there. And once again, thank y'all so, so much for tuning in. I appreciate y'all, and I'll see y'all tomorrow night. All right.